Thank you. Okay, yeah. Oh, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Club ENTP. Yeah. I am your real host, DAPARU of the CRUSHA. Mr. CRUSHA, if you give no respect. Well, there's a lot of new clubsters here now, so welcome to year number 2. I'm calling it year number 2 because this year is really gonna be the shit and a big hit with all my fans. Oh, look, there's one now. Oh. So that's why you don't wear white after Labor Day. But rules, they don't always apply to us, so sorry, not sorry. So many of you are here because of the drama, or as I like to call it, the created chaos that I control. Without it, you probably wouldn't be hearing the sound of my voice right now. But as I create chaos, I receive chaos, and it's expected. So today is going to be a show like no other. First, I would like to apologize to host Eric for absolutely nothing. You can sure dish it out, but you can't take it. Grow up. You don't own the internet. You need to share. Sure, I misled you to gain access to your show, but instead of complaining like a little schoolgirl, you should be thanking me for increasing the traffic on your channel. I would like to thank you for lying about my type and telling everyone that I'm not an ENTP. That's the best free advertisement I've ever received, so thank you. Now, I'm going to give you the chance to prove to the world that you really are the greatest typologist on the planet Earth, as he claims to be. If you're so certain that I'm not an ENTP like you're saying, then put your money where your mouth is. Oh wait, you don't have any money. Put Winston's mom's money where your mouth is. If she has so much confidence in you, in your magnificence, then she should have no problem. Or take up an offering of your Eric sycophants. Put in a collection, people. I want $1,000. 10 bens. So I will allow you to type me again on your show, this time as fair as you feel it needs to be. And when I test as an ENTP, then you or Winston's mom or your minions, you cough up and release $1,000 to me. If I'm found to be anything but an ENTP, I will change the name of my show. You have my word on it. Email me at daparudecrusha@yahoo.com. And don't send me any links. We'll do it my way again, through Zoom. It doesn't have to be live. You can have as many people on the panel as you wish. I have absolutely nothing to fear since I was just tested for the 4th time, this time using Cloverleaf. I also tested my enneagram on the same app. I found out that I'm not an ENTP, 7 wing 6. I'm an ENTP 7 wing 8.
Gotcha, bitch!
Plus, there's many more things about yourself you can discover, such as your disc, like this. Plus, test your energy rhythm, test your cultural instinctive drives, and take the VIA assessment to find out what are your strengths. But they're not a sponsor, so I'll stop before this becomes an unpaid commercial. So there you have it. Host Eric, you can test me again on your show, but you'll need to put a pound of flesh in the game. $1,000 to show the world how certain you are that I'm not an ENTP. Your move, son. Speaking of moves, it's time to start the show. What do you think? All right. My next guest wanted to interview me for a couple of hours on Zoom, unscripted and raw. And of course I said yes. But it turned into an 8-hour stream of consciousness. So I can only give you excerpts from that 8-hour dialogue. Without further ado, give a warm Club ENTP welcome all the way from Morocco, here once again from the continent of Africa. Welcome the host of Ghost Deeds podcast. It's Ghost. And welcome everyone, and my guest of course is Ghost. He is back, he's returned, and of course you remember him, the host of the YouTube channel Ghost Deeds. So make sure you check that out, and he is doing some amazing content, so make sure you subscribe and support that channel.
6 hours later.
Sakra jest dynamity tonight. Kutam supuri, singu sakra jest dynamity. Amantile makinu jest, amantile maroskoles, no marizis. Łapsile, aż do sniadku masz dłara lepiej. Tu najszczyt, kutam superi, singu sakra jest dynamity. Tu najszczyt, kutam superi, singu sakra jest dynamity. Romanian song about I can't sleep because I got you on my mind. It doesn't matter, man. I'm uninhibited by people and their fear, and I have no fear when I go into a crowd. So it's like I feel very comfortable, and that's why it's kind of nice to be with you right now without a script, without an agenda necessarily. I mean, I do have an agenda always, but just to be more of myself, more authentic, like you said, genuine, and yeah, it's kind of cool to actually see the people we see on the internet and actually go, wow, they're real. Like, it's so weird that I'm sitting here talking to Melissa Talks, who I watch every day and you know, get entertained by with her, you know, amazing topics and interesting look about it. But I realize she's being a character. She's playing a character. She's got it all scripted, and then but then to meet her in like we're doing here for 3 hours with her, and it's just like she's so down to earth, she's so like quirky, you know, like not certain about how, you know, the things work, you know, and we're both kind of flustered, we're both kind of like, let's push buttons, you know, like how do you do this, you know, and it's like I really felt like that was a very ENTP moment that I shared with her, that I didn't think about questioning her type, because I'm not, number one, I've only met one ENTP female, and granted, they're nothing that I saw similar, but then you have different situations where she may be an enneagram 1, like, you know, maybe more with, you know, subdued, the other one's a little more bombastic. You know, but a lot of people never see that side of Melissa Talks, where she is this very energetic, quirky, bombastic, party animal type of person who, you know, who rides a motorcycle. You know, I mean,
I do definitely agree with you about Melissa. She never gave me any reason to second guess her.
No,
I've seen videos of her. Yeah, maybe. Like she's very entertaining. She's logical. Like she's holding back her like quirkiness, as you're saying. Like you have talked to her in
very
a much more personal level.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you know better about her than anybody else.
Maybe you should have her on the show. Yeah, really.
So
she's
I cannot
cool
say that she's not an ENTP. She is definitely an ENTP. Like, we do sound very similar. The only variable here is that she's a female, not a male ENTP.
Yeah.
That's how it changes.
And nobody ever questioned that until Eric Strauss, or host Eric of Talking with Famous People, actually got a little butthurt that nobody asked him to be on his show. Well, you know, Melissa Talks asked me to be on her show, but didn't ask host Eric, and host Eric has been on this for 8 years, okay? And he was butthurt, so he types her and says, but I'm gonna need you to come onto my show to type you. And I told her that he was going to mistype her and say, you know, they're gonna come after you. And I told her that a week before he actually did it. I saw it all happening, because I knew that 13 months ago, when I watched his policing of all these MBTI creators, he was against each and every single one of them. He was bad-mouthing each. I'm like, oh, of course, I gotta get this guy on my side, you know? He's gotta get on the Daniel train. And then I'll take the train where I damn well want, you know? Because I'm not gonna let any jello brain, drug addict, doll-playing, 50-year-old loser, and I mean that in a kind, gentle way, to derail the Daniel train, bro. I mean, I know there's a lot of room for players. I'm not a player hater. I'm trying to lift everybody up, and it's just the difference between a mature ENTP and a very unhealthy, immature individual. I don't care what type they are. I mean, we got unhealthy individuals of all types. He just happens to be an ENTP, and he wants to be the only one. He's like a little child.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, his thought process is not sane, I would say.
No.
You cannot exist by yourself. You know, if you exist by yourself, you would bore everybody. Like, how can the monopoly of
MBTI.
something, of anything, in that matter of fact, like, that would be annoying as hell. Like, it's like communism. Imagine like if there was only one brand of cars and it was like Toyota Prius. Like, imagine, like, that would be annoying. Or
oh my god,
whatever
dude.
car
You
it
just
might
picked
be.
the worst car of all time.
Like, even the best cars. Okay,
The
let's
Prius,
say the best
man.
cars. Okay,
mean,
imagine
I'll tell you.
Ferrari.
Prius
You're
people,
gonna
I'm
keep
sorry.
driving a Ferrari, and at some point, like, it's not gonna be a Ferrari anymore. It's gonna be the car, my car. And then what is the flavor? What is the different sensation while driving it? You know, like, it doesn't trigger you as much as it did in the beginning. And then the sound of the engine is the same. Like, the handling is the same. Everything is similar.
It's like
you
what
know,
we
like
talked
the
about.
difference.
Bro, it's like we talked about earlier. When you cook a steak and you walk out of the room, you walk back in 10 minutes later, you can finally smell that steak again. But when you walked out of the room, you didn't smell it, you didn't notice it, but you walk back in. It's like that with everything. Everything that's new is some sense, our senses are taking in all of it. And because I'm not a sensory type, I don't really care about the aesthetics so much. About, like, I do like to surround myself in luxury. I mean, I live a luxurious life, I would say. But I could still rough it and go, spend 6 months or 6 weeks on my island, sweating and, just looking like hell, and just losing weight and being like, just not taking care of my body and just letting myself, essentially just eat itself. Not care about my body, not care about my, my well-being, just kind of just exist in meditation and be outside of all the problems of the world and just face my inner child, my inner selfish individual that needs to be slapped in the face and just, don't settle for mediocrity. Don't settle for being good enough. Be better than anyone even thought to be. Not to be the, holy and pure and faultless. We all are fallen. All of us are completely broken, and I mean, I wouldn't say completely broken. Let me rephrase that. We're all fallen, and we have to. I mean, we can allow ourselves to be completely broken to be rebuilt in a better image, and I think that's being broken is actually a good thing. You know, it's part of the journey of anyone who's searching for truth. They will suffer to find it. I mean, you go from people who are like Socrates, or people who will take you and dunk your head in the water and say, okay, when you're finally about ready to die, they pull you up and say, when you want knowledge more than you want that breath that you were starving for, then you're ready to follow me, then you're ready to learn. But until you know suffering, you can never go beyond a certain amount of self-growth. I would say self-growth, because that's really the enemy, is the self. The self is the bad guy.
It's holding us back, especially. And when you say self, what is even the self? Like, is it like the way we were raised, or is it the fears that we borrowed from people?
Question.
Is it like a life that is long gone, that our parents lived, and they tried to pass it on to us?
Physical memory and our
you know, like as we're talking, the world is changing, life is changing. You know, if we don't keep up with it, it's gonna get really troubling, if that's even a word.
Well, I think we're going into chaos, but here's the thing. What is your definition of the word self?
Self. I do believe that we are what God made us. When I start to say I start to disassociate from the universe, from the creation. When I start to say I, it's like I have a backpack in my back, and I fill it with all the negative traits of my personality, or all the negative luggage. That's when I say the I. And that's where the problem starts, and that's where you can start solving the issues that you have with yourself. That's what I do believe that the self is. But beside that, let's put the I aside and think about us, without saying I, but as a human being. We exist to survive. We do survive, and as all the creatures, we do survive. It's a survival game, and it's about feeding yourself. It's about like sustaining life within your own body. That's the thing. And after that, then you have the needs and the wants. There are priorities, the things that you cannot live without, and the things that your life would be miserable without. And then you start to attach these things that are natural process of existing as a human being. So also, like, talking about having a partner, or like the roles as a male and female, I do believe that the bird doesn't second guess itself that it's a bird or a crocodile. Why, as human beings that are evolved, lost touch with reality, which is survival and prosperity and efficiency. Like, I do not care, you know, like if a man that is dominant and that is he's not capable of sustaining his dominance or accomplishing results with his dominance, like he's not leading anywhere, he's leading to destruction. You know, like that guy is a lost cause. He should be out, you know, like next. That's how it works. And similar to a female, like if I'm with a person and she's not accomplishing her part of the relationship, you know, like I'm putting my investment, she has to invest as well, and the goal is survival. We have to survive together. We have to keep it tight. We have to do these things. We have to work on ourselves. I have to maintain my composure. She has to maintain her composure. And we live together but separately at the same time. It's not like I'm gonna blur the lines and I'm gonna start to share my dark side with her and give her a burden that she has to live. You know, like, she's not responsible of my challenges. I've lived without her all my life. Once I start knowing that person, I will change the rules and I will start to live differently. That's the problem, is that we start to live differently once we meet someone, and that's the recipe for disaster. That's the beginning of the end. It's like, why would you do that? Are you a kid? Are you a baby? Like, from both sides, like, the women shouldn't be doing that and the men shouldn't be doing that either.
I'm telling you what, brother. You know, I was talking to you earlier about the world needs a new Tom Likas show. I mean, you could be like, I'm your daddy show. Like, I'm gonna teach you about how to be a man and how to deal with the woman, and like give you some ground level rules to work on. But that'll be another show. But I can see you doing that. That's kind of what I saw your vision the moment I started meeting you and Daniel. As I was thinking about, you guys are very on point with certain topics on that. But getting back to the self, when I say what is the definition of self, I've actually broken it down into an acronym. So I'm incorporating that into my book, Knowing the Self. And S is for the spirit of the person, that consciousness that exists inside, like the ghost. And no pun intended, ghost. And then you have the E, which is the emotions of the human being, which are working with like chemicals in their glandular system. And then you have the L is for lobes. You have two of them working with electricity side by side. So it's like, the electrical and the chemical. Inside the F, which is the flesh, so SELF, that's the self. All of that is incorporated in all those levels. And I like the mind and the emotions to be almost working as one entity inside of because they're both physical, inside of a physical body. So those are one. The flesh is two, but the spirit is the third one. And so we are divisible by three, because the mind without the emotions wouldn't be human. The emotions without the mind wouldn't be a human. It's the two together that create the soul or the heart of the human. And inside the heart is the spirit, which is like the ghost in the machine. And then those are inside of another thing, the flesh. So it's like we're inside something that's inside of something. Just like we were like when we were sperm inside of our father, and our father was, we wanted to, essentially, you may not remember this, but we had a goal to be like our father. We knew we were in something. We were conscious at that point. We could taste, we could smell, we could sense, and we had determination, and we could swim like a fish.
Well, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Like, at a sperm level, or like when we used to be sperms, we look, this bastard made it. He lived all these years, and like his bloodline, like it was a successful bloodline. Otherwise, that bastard would have been dead, and I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
That's how people could see it. Yeah. And then killing this mentality of wanting to exist and strive and like leave a mark.
Yeah.
Not
legacy.
Not only like giving birth is a thing, but not leaving a mark is dying forever.
Yeah. So I'm easily distracted. I'm like, look at my squirrel. Yeah. So those are some deep thoughts, man. Like, I want to go all the way back and talking about like our original self was actually a swimming little creature. And when we entered into the ovum, which had no personality, no sex, no nothing, just mitochondrial DNA, and we intentionally got into it. It was stationary, had no person, no spirit.
Yeah, life started in someone's
the
balls.
sperm. Yeah, exactly. Like, where are you from? Well, my dad's left testicle. I mean, how far back do you want to go? You know, but you know, I mean, like literally, when we are encountering the world with our extroverted intuition and our intuitive thinking, and kind of putting everything together, and we want to know the why, we have to go all the way back, and so. That's kind of where our brains get exercised. And when we don't exercise that, our brains will atrophy. And so I've always gone back to the beginning. And I've talked about being a person with you know, a memory that goes all the way back. And there's interesting stories I could go into, but I don't think that, I mean, we've already been talking for at least 5 hours, man.
Yeah.
This has been awesome, dude. We have had a great day, like since 2 o'clock, and now what is it, 7:51, dude. We're almost on 6 hours, bro.
Yeah.
We did take a
Definitely.
little break for, you know, your Ramadan fast and to break that, so I appreciate that. But yeah, what else do you want to talk about, man? I mean, I got time.
What could we talk about?
The future. We're always living in it. We're planning
Future,
for
we
it.
always live in it. That's definitely it.
It's time for viewer A. Did they fix that glass ceiling? Or is there no more to be broken? I don't know. Is that a good thing? I don't know. It's me. So 12 Silent writes in and says, gotta hate having people who think they are ENTPs but are actually stubborn ENFPs. I've never experienced that one. But you gotta hate having people who think they are psychologists but are actually Eric psychophants who think they know people on TV better than they know themselves. I mean, talk about presumptuous. Illusions of grandeur. Next up we have INFJ niece. She writes, very enjoyable as always. Aw. Thank you, INFJ niece. Watch out for silent but toxic. He thinks he knows everyone better than they know themselves. He probably thinks you're an ESTP male. But that's just wrong. Otherwise, your name would be ESTP nephew and not INFJ niece. Also, from episode 13, there were so many fun comments, I wish I could read them all, but I only have time for 2. Rhetorical Slope writes, I laughed. Your Eric impression is like if Eric was more manly and likable. You should have played your guitar out of tune while singing through your nose, completely off key, really capturing the Eric artistry. I think you mean artistry. But who says it's not manly to play with naked dolls for a living? But I'm glad you laughed. That was my intention. And to say it's all fun and games until someone ends up with jello for brains. Don't do inhalants, boys and girls, or you'll look and sound like host Eric.
Yeah.
And finally, Persona Bella chimes in saying, the turnaround. Great parody of host Eric. Poopy Pigface needs to be in the English dictionary. Well, I agree. Right next to Man Bear Pig. Speaking of Albor, please help us with our algorithm by writing a comment. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our live events and new videos, or this will happen.